of these young people from the video, and with our very special guest, along with Dr. Kate, who will be helping us understand the consequences and severities of HIV/AIDS. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Kate.
How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
We have you joining us today to talk about a very important issue on HIV/AIDS. What are some of your findings about HIV/AIDS?
Yeah, so AIDS is actually the fourth biggest cause of death in the world, and slowly numbers are reducing in sub-Saharan Africa, but those numbers are not small enough or reducing fast enough to affect the actual populations. A virus called HIV, which is transmitted through direct and sexual contact, needles, which causes AIDS, which is known as the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome.
Excellent. So do you know of any prevention methods we can, that are resourceful, for our audience?
Well, in previous years, about $50 billion has been spent on AIDS prevention and education. Abstinence using protection when sexually active, such as using condoms and making sure the needles you come in contact with are sanitized, and taking standard sanitary precautions are essential in the prevention of HIV and AIDS.
Excellent. So, wow, that is a very overwhelming number. Do you think many of these prevention methods are universalized, and do people know about this? Are they aware of these, methods?
Well, I feel like slowly people are becoming educated. I think people are starting to come into consciousness of the severity of the disease, which is crucial.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. K, once again, for giving us some insight and key knowledge about HIV/AIDS, okay? We will be taking another quick break, folks, and after that break, we'll have two special guests from all the way from sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you very much, folks, for watching. Break, folks, and today joining us all the way from Africa once again we have Peru Nakululu. Welcome, Excellent. And we have Anguilla. Okay, so they're going to give us a little brief insight on our topic today on HIV/AIDS. Starting with Mr. Peru Nakululu, you've come all the way from sub-Saharan Africa. Why don't you share your story with us?
My name's Peru. I'm going to explain my AIDS story and how it has affected me and my social stigmas surrounding this disease. I've had AIDS now for 5 years, and I've contracted this disease through a needle. I feel as though people really look down upon me, and it's hard to deal with the disease, especially when you have to take 5 different medications for the disease every day. Society is really hard on me, and it's a trouble for me. I think I am victimized every day, and people really don't understand my circumstances. I didn't wish this upon myself, but now I have to deal with the situation and the outcomes, and this is an issue in my society because the societal norms don't account for and benefit people with AIDS.
I understand completely. Wow, that must be a very, difficult, thing to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's very, very hard at times, and it becomes very overwhelming. Not enough people understand the severity of the disease, especially where I'm from. Dr. Kate touched upon this topic. In the previous year, we've spent $50 billion on education for prevention of AIDS, and I find that very hard to believe because where I'm from, people don't even understand or know what AIDS is, and many people don't even have access or knowledge on how to protect themselves from AIDS.
So, Dr. K, what needs to be put in place to put this to a stop? Ultimate stop.
Well, personally, I feel like we need to take a Van Rational approach to the issue. Right now, we're looking at this as the dominator paradigm, The government holds the power to establish education programs and to raise awareness, but there are so many barriers that prevent this knowledge. For instance, language. We need to take our partnership paradigm into consideration and understand that the communities and young kids like Peru need to be involved with the language he speaks, and that information needs to be available in these languages. And that way we can communicate this education to many of the people from, for example, his village. Starting up and continuing these programs is a start in a good partnership that will help to raise awareness and reduce the numbers of people affected.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Dr. Kate. I think that these are some very, key and excellent ideas that need to be implemented right away. So we also have Amrila with us, and she'll be sharing her story as well with us today.
Thank you, Mara. I'm also an AIDS patient. I think I've come from Sub-Saharan Africa as well, and I met Peru at the protest earlier. Hearing his story shows that there are many factors that contribute to AIDS. I contracted AIDS through sexual contact with my husband. Back in my village, women do not have access to resources and are embarrassed and ashamed to have AIDS. They are very dependent on their husbands, as they are providers for them. So men are sexually active outside of the household, and women have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And they can't say no to sexual activity with their husbands because of the fear of divorce, being isolated, or being left on the streets.
That is very, very, very emotional, very important to hear.
Yeah, it is very overwhelming and emotional because I feel ashamed and I don't want to go out because I know I have AIDS. And there's no self-esteem there, and I'm worried for my children what people think of them.
Okay, I understand. How does this affect your income?
Well, I don't work. I don't have a job. My husband is the one that provides the income. My job is to take care of the kids and things like that.
Well, Peru, why don't you tell us how it affects your income?
It's actually really difficult to have a stable income. I cannot hold a stable job in my village because people are afraid to contract HIV or AIDS from me, and they always assume the worst. It is hard to support myself sometimes, and it's just kind of depressing.
Well, from what I see, it's trouble for young women because they are continuously attacked and ashamed of the disease that they have, whereas most of the time it's not even in their control. The long-term issue associated with this is that the fact that women continue to be sexually active with men who have AIDS, and then they contract the disease as well. Then they continue to have children with AIDS who technically will not fill the spots as the future, and the economy will suffer because these kids will not grow up to fill these positions. Then the kids are also victimized because of the disease they're born with.
This is such a powerful thought, Dr. Kate. Yeah, it is very true. As for you, Peru, I can see how it must be very hard for you to cope, especially not knowing, that you're going to be handed a stable income. Well, folks, as you see, it's a major issue in our majority world, and now as well as the minority world that we live in. There are many ways to protect yourselves from HIV/AIDS, and everyone should always take these precautions. I stress always. We would like to thank everybody that came out today to discuss such a touching topic and talk about their perspectives on this issue. HIV/AIDS is an ongoing and rising issue. Awareness is the first step to get the word out there. A special thanks to Peru Nakalulu and Amrila for traveling across the country to be with us, as well as Dr. Kate for taking the time out of her day to help us here today. Until next time, folks, this is the Tamara Show. Have a great day. Thank you.